For over a decade, Bitcoin has danced to this really predictable 4-year beat. You get a huge surge, then a brutal crypto winter, then a slow recovery, all like clockwork. But what if that rhythm, that internal clock, is finally broken? Today, we're diving into whether the old crypto rules even apply anymore and what that means for everything.
Okay, so right now, picture this. The entire financial world is basically on pause. Everyone, and I mean everyone, has their eyes glued to the US Federal Reserve. Their next move could literally set the direction for the whole global economy.
But while Wall Street is obsessing over the Fed, the crypto world is tangled up in a much deeper, more fundamental debate. Those old patterns, the cycles that investors have literally bet on for years, they might be totally obsolete. And that's the real heart of what we're digging into today. So, before we can even get into the crypto debate, we gotta zoom out. We have to understand the bigger economic picture, because these are the massive forces pushing and pulling on every single investor's decisions right now. And look, the market has pretty much already made up its mind. This data shows an almost 90% chance the Fed is gonna cut interest rates. But here's the thing, the actual cut isn't the main event. No, the real story is what the Fed says about the future. It's those little hints and clues that will really get the markets moving.
So why is everyone so convinced a rate cut is coming? Well, it's because the US labor market is starting to show some serious cracks. You have fewer people willingly leaving their jobs. Hiring is at a 10-year low, and layoffs are ticking up. When the job market cools off like this, the pressure on the Fed to jump in and give the economy a boost becomes immense.
Okay, so let's shift gears. Let's move away from the big macro world and zoom right into Bitcoin's own internal clock. For years, this thing has moved to a beat that is surprisingly predictable, and it's all powered by one single, repeating event.
And that event is called the halving. It's actually pretty simple. Every 4 years, the amount of new Bitcoin being created gets automatically slashed in half. It's hardwired into the code. This creates a predictable supply shock, and that shock has been the engine driving everything. So this predictable event has created this 4-step dance. Step 1, a massive bull run. Step 2, a crushing correction, the infamous crypto winter. That's followed by Step 3, a year of things just kind of going sideways, which leads to Step 4, the rally just before the next halving. This rhythm has repeated over and over, until maybe now.
And that brings us right to the middle of the great debate. After all these years of things being so predictable, new players and new money have entered the scene, making everyone ask that famous, and let's be honest, often very dangerous question in investing, is this time really different?
Let's break down the two sides. On one hand, you have the traditionalists. They're saying, hey, as the market gets bigger, growth slows down. A correction is totally normal. But on the other hand, you have people saying the game has completely changed. They're pointing to the tidal wave of institutional money coming in from ETFs and this one killer fact. Bitcoin hit a new all-time high before the halving. That has never, ever happened before. And listen, the signs that things are changing are pretty hard to ignore. You've got heavy hitters, we're talking Bernstein, JP Morgan, all saying the old cycle is dead. And this isn't just talk. That flood of ETF money is literally soaking up all the sell pressure that used to cause those deep crypto winters. The basic mechanics of the market are different now.
This whole argument over price cycles, it's happening because mainstream finance has finally arrived. And that forces a much bigger, almost philosophical question. As Bitcoin gets absorbed into the very system it was built to be an alternative to, what's its mission anymore?
This quote, wow. It just perfectly captures the existential crisis some of the early believers are having. They're seeing Bitcoin win the financial game, prices are up, big institutions are in, but they're worried it's failing at its original mission. The one about creating a totally new, decentralized system for the people.
But what if we've been looking at this the wrong way? What if that original vision wasn't the final destination? Maybe the definition of success has to evolve, just like the tech itself. And that brings us to a whole new way of looking at it. And here's the key idea. Maybe Bitcoin's real triumph isn't replacing the old system. Maybe its true revolutionary power is just in creating an alternative, a choice for financial freedom that before Bitcoin simply did not exist.
I mean, think about the early internet. The dream was this wide-open, totally free highway of information for everyone. The reality? It's censored, it's monitored. But was the internet a failure? No way. It still changed the entire world. Bitcoin might just be on that same path,
evolving from a pure ideal into something that's a bit more integrated, a bit more regulated, but still absolutely game-changing.
This constant change is a sign of incredible strength, not weakness. Bitcoin's identity has shifted over and over. It went from peer-to-peer cash to digital gold to something companies put on their balance sheets, and now it's being solidified as a brand new asset class. This is what resilient technologies do. They adapt to survive and thrive.
So, what does this all mean for you? Look, the goal isn't to be a psychic and perfectly predict the future. The goal is to be prepared for either future. It's about managing your risk, setting yourself up so that you're okay if the cycle repeats, and you're also okay if it breaks and keeps going. As the source material points out, for some people with profits, maybe that means taking a little off the table, just for peace of mind.
And that really leaves us with this one big final thought. So what if Bitcoin doesn't liberate the entire planet? So what if most people stick with the old system? In a world where there was literally no other choice, isn't the creation of just one viable alternative a revolution all by itself?